Welcome back to this Let's Play of the original official campaign of Neverwinter Nights 2. Last time we started investigating the Duskwood, which is around Ember, which is the town we are alleged to have slaughtered, and we're kind of trying to clear our name by investigating. Let's see what else is here. Last time all we found was a couple of werewolves. We did find a miner that we were looking for that was rather eaten by those werewolves, but at least, you know, we have closure for them, right? Anyway, this dryad here thinks that I am Lorne Starling, who we've seen in cutscenes. I don't think we've ever actually met him. And she did it because the villagers were cutting down her trees, and she wants us to get a glowstone. And she doesn't really explain what it is or why she wants it, but she wants it in exchange for some of the powder she used to disguise this guy who essentially is trying to frame us. Oh, that's good to know, I guess. But she says to look for caves, and, well, we've been in the only cave in the area, and we didn't find a way down. So let's go over to Ember and see if there's an entrance from over there. We've been to Ember before, but, well, it's a little different now. In fact, it looks like a burned-out husk, or maybe just an ember of what it once was. I mean, why would you name a village after what's left after you burn it down? But, yeah, there's not a whole lot to do here. There's a side quest I have to do with just sprinkling worm sage on bodies. I'll do that off screen. As you walk in, Sand says he heard something in the well, and we'll get to that in a second. But there's some other things I want to do first before I go down. Now, the worm sage thing is fairly straightforward. You just equip it as an item, but just put it in a hotbar slot and use it. This particular corpse brings up some additional dialogue, and you can tell Sand that he has good eyes for some cheap influence. And he says that this particular person was poisoned. They weren't killed by sort of more normal means, and the poison is distinctive. So we still have to hit it with the worm sage. The other piece of evidence you need to find here is this quartermaster's log. And there's a sort of oddity here that Sand points out, that Luskin wasn't shipping them any supplies, which is sort of strange. Almost as if Luskin knew that they weren't going to need those supplies because they'd all be dead. And we get some XP for that, and we get a level. So I will gain these levels. Level 13 is pretty boring, frankly. I'm actually going to give LNE 1 rank of Tumble. Just having 1 rank at least gives you a 1 in 20 chance of avoiding an attack of opportunity. It's not a big improvement, but hey, you know, better than nothing.
I concur.
And I'm going to keep Sand on learning Tumble just for the fun of it. He's starting to get level 7 spells now. Again, I'm picking these more for what I need them for than for the challenge than actually what's useful, though these two spells are actually both very good. Hiss of Sleep is essentially like sleep, except it doesn't have any restrictions. It always, you know, there's no hit die requirements. Avasculate is a spell that, if you've watched my Mask of the Betrayer LP, you'll know that is not useless, primarily because it has a saving throw, but the more important effect of it, it does not depend on a saving throw, which is very handy.
Me? And
Grobnar here. I'm actually going to cease putting points into the crafting skills, because now that I have those gauntlets and I've essentially crafted most of the things I wanted to make anyways, he really doesn't need very much. He also gets greater heroism, which is very handy because he, as a bard, gets a couple more castings than some do. Ethereal Visage is another spell that I'd like to learn from him, but, well, it'll have to wait. Level 4s, Cure Critical Wounds, and I'll gain my own level off screen because, well, there's not. It's linked in the video description. There's one last sight to see in Ember before we go down the well. It's not really related to the quest, it's just here. It's Guyven of the Road again. and he doesn't really have any information, but you can invite him to join you later, and he will, and we will take advantage of that opportunity or something like that. He's not that important, but he's there. Climb down the rope into the well. No, Timmy is not at the bottom of this well, but there is somebody at the bottom of this well. I picked up a whole bunch of new spells now that I have level 6s. They added these mass stat buff spells in, I believe it was in Mask of the Betrayer, and they're actually quite handy just from a standpoint of not having to cast 6 bull strengths instead of being able to cast 1 mass bull strength. The other spell that I just standard buff, and I may use this as just sort of standard buff, is Lesser Mind Blank, which just gives immunity to mind spells. Unlike Protection from Evil, it's not conditional. There's not anything specific about it. It just makes you immune. There may not be Timmy, but there is Marcus, and he's the one we lent a dagger to from Bishop earlier in the game. So he's a useful witness for the defense. And he gives you the dagger back, and, well, Bishop never had this particular dagger. It's okay. It gives dexterity, which is fairly useless. It's keen, which is not a real big benefit for a dagger. It's worth a lot of cash. Now, that cavern there was the cavern underneath the town of Ember. This is actually the cavern underneath the Duskwood. And there are goblins here, and they're not looking for a fight, but they apparently had another intruder. And apparently that intruder was part of the people who killed Luskin. Or killed Ember. They probably were Luskin, but, you know. And unfortunately they burned the body. There's a ring, though, which they'll give to us if we get rid of some spiders for us. And that ring is essentially a piece of a clue. You need Sand's interpretation to make it useful, but, you know, hey. These traps are a little annoying. I wouldn't call them dangerous, but they are a little annoying. We'll get back. This map pin says Glowstone Cave. We'll get back to that later. Here's the spiders, and I'm going to have a little fun with Tensor's transformation, which is, you know, an obscure mathematical joke, more or less, but essentially, it doesn't actually work like it does in pen and paper D&D. It just gives you... Did it fail somehow? Oh. I'm not sure what happened. Usually it transforms you, and maybe the spell failed. I'm going to assume that the spell failed for some reason. Regardless, I am more than effective enough to just sort of wander through here and slaughter these things with impunity. These spiders are casting spells, which is a little strange, but... And there's another vein of ore down here, which is useful. This is the route up to the Duskwood there. Random body with a heavy crossbow. What's this thing?
Listening. Me?
Glorious Revolution. Yeah, okay. It's a really bad crossbow. Well, it's not really bad. It's just sort of pointless. In this corner, however, we have a spider. And it's a big one, but it's not a hostile one. And you can talk to it. You can actually attack it and kill it and get a little bit of XP. Or you can feed it the insect collection we found and recruit it as one of your allies for a lot more XP. And with the right dialogue choice, you say allies from nature are welcome. A little bit of influence with Eleni. And, yeah. He's a little weird. I'm going to rest up, pick up some new spells, and be right back. Alright. Yeah, I tested Sensor Transformation. They didn't change the spell, it's just... I don't know what happened there, it just didn't work. Maybe I got hit and got interrupted or something. I do have power attack turned on, rather than combat casting. Well, we'll go hand in our Kill the Spiders quest. Where is Gleck? He's not a Gleek, by the way. He doesn't sing. And that's another piece of... no, another clue. And Sand has this statement, there may be other items that Ember's attackers mixed in their haste, which means that, yeah, there's more clues to find. The most important one, obviously, is our transmutation powder from the Dryad, but we don't have that glowstone yet. And we see Glowstone Cave on the map, so next time, we'll deal with the glowstone.